Good morning, friends. I am Professor Vivek Kulkarni from SND College of Engineering and Research Center, Yeola. Due to this pandemic situation, our an initiative taken by the management of our college and principal sir, we are starting online lectures. Uh, this college is affiliated to Savitribai Phule Pune University, and I will teach you elective 1, and so the subject is architecture and town planning. Subject code is 401004 for B Civil 2015 course. Now let's see the examination scheme. You have to appear for an in-semester exam of 30 marks, and the duration of the exam will be 1 hour, and end semester exam of 70 marks, and the duration of exam will be 2.5 hours. There will be also a term work of 50 marks in which you have to complete 6 assignments. Now let's say something about this subject. Now basically this subject is divided into 2 sections, namely one architecture and the second part is town planning. The first 2 units, that is unit 1 and unit 2, contribute to architecture, and remaining unit, that is unit 3, unit 4, unit 5 and unit 6, deals with town planning. This subject has 3 credits. Also there is term work, as I told you earlier. There is term work for this subject with minimum 6 assignments with 1 credit. Now let's talk about the practical application of this subject. This subject is useful for civil engineers in their practical career. All the details regarding architecture are covered in the syllabus. All the rules and regulations of town planning are included with the necessary guidelines of state and union government. Now this subject, when you go to a bare plot to construct a building, the subject starts from the instant you start with the designing and planning of the building. So I wish you all a happy learning. Now as I said earlier, the unit, this subject is divided into 6 units. First unit, unit 1, the topics are principles and elements of architectural composition. Second topic, qualities of architecture, user friendly, contextual, eco-friendly, utility of spaces and future growth, etc. Third topic, role of urban planner and architects in planning and designing in relation with spatial organization, utility, demand of the area and supply. Unit 2 comprises of landscaping, its importance, objectives of landscaping, principles, elements, materials both soft and hard. Then second topic, urban renewal for quality of life and livability. This is new concept which is arising in urban planning. Then third one, importance of sustainable architecture with a case study. Unit 3 comprises of goals and objectives of planning, components of planning, benefits of planning. Second topic in this unit 3, levels of planning, regional plan, that is RP, development plan, that is DP, then town planning scheme, that is TPS, then neighborhood plan, then types of development plans, master plan, city development plan and structure plan. Units 4 comprises of various types of civic surveys for development plan, that is demographic surveys, housing surveys, land use, water supply and sanitation, etc. Second topic covers with planning agencies for various levels of planning, their organization and purpose. Mainly organizations covered are CIDCO, that is City and Industrial Development Corporation, MHADA, that is Maharashtra Housing and Area Development Authority, MIDC, Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation, that deals with the industrial area of Maharashtra state, MMRDA, that is Mumbai Metropolitan Regional Development Authority, and PMRDA, that is Pune Metropolitan Regional Development Authority, etc. Then traffic transportation systems, urban road hierarchy, traffic management, and intelligent transport system. Unit 5 contains legislative mechanism for preparation of DP, that is Development Plan, and MRTP Act 1966, that is Maharashtra Regional Town Planning Act 1966. Then UDPFI guidelines for land use, infrastructure, etc. Then SEZ means Special Economic Zone, CRZ Coastal Regulation Zone, and Smart City guidelines. Unit 6 comprises of the special townships, land acquisition, rehabilitation, and resettlement act 2013, and last one application of GIS, that is Global Information System, GPS, that is Global Positional System, remote sensing in planning. Now there are various textbooks as per unit for textbooks for unit 1. There is one textbook, Climate Responsive Architecture, author is Arvind Krishnan. For unit 2, Introduction to Landscape Architecture, author is Michael Lowry. For unit 3 and 4, there are two books, Fundamentals of Town Planning by author G.K. Hiraskar, and Textbooks of Town Planning by author G.K. Bandopadhyay. Unit 5th and 6th, Planning and Legislation by authors Popperdekar and Diwan. There are also some reference books, that is MRTP Act 1966, that is Maharashtra Regional Town Planning Act 1966, then Manual of Tropical Housing and Building by Koensberger, then Sustainable Building Design Manual, UDPFI, that is Urban Development Plans Formulation and Implementation Guidelines, then Urban City Pattern, City Planning and Design by Gallian and Eisener, then Design of Cities by Edmund Bacon, then LAR, this is the Act, Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act 2013, then Ministry of Urban Development by Government of India, various websites of NRCA, NRSA, that is National Research Service Awards, then SIDCO, that is City and Industrial Development Corporation, MAHARA, that is Maharashtra Housing and Area Development Authority, then MIDC, Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation, then MMRDA, Maharashtra Metropolitan Regional Development Authority, and PMRDA, that is Pune Metropolitan Regional Development Authority. Let's start with Unit 1. Now architecture. What is architecture? The science and art of planning, designing and constructing buildings, structures according to proportion, requirements, purpose and rules as required for the character and destination of the building. So it is a art and science of planning and constructing building structure. How to construct this building structure or how to plan this building structure? According to proportion of land size, that is length, breadth and height. Then requirement, what are the requirements of the building, whether it is a commercial building, whether it is a residential building, whether it is a hospital building, school building, for what requirements we are constructing this building. Then purpose, again this purpose, residential, commercial, professional, okay, so or any social purpose such as hospitals and schools, and rules as required for the character of and destination of the building. So destination of building and character of the building, these are also two basic aspects. Destination means location of the building, where the building is located, whether it is in high profile area, whether it is remotely located, whether it is in some slum or shabby areas, in and around shabby areas. So that depends upon the character and destination of the building. Now architect is a person who plans, designs the buildings monitors and supervises or advises in their constructions. Now I am trying to explain with some graphics. Okay, basically architecture is a course. Okay, an architect is a person who practices architecture. Okay, I had seen many people saying that today architecture is coming to my side. Actually he should say architect is coming to my side. So we as an engineers, we are trained professionals, we are literate, so we should say that architects are coming to my side. Architecture is, always remember, architecture is a course, it is a profession. Okay, an architect is a person who obeys the profession of the architecture, or who follows the profession of the architecture. Okay, so this is the person who is the architect. Okay, he is imagining that the building. Okay, this building is as per his imagination, and he is drafting that imagination on the paper. Okay, so this is the basic planning of the building. Okay, and here in second picture you can see these architects, they are discussing how to plan a building. They are discussing regarding the planning of the building. Now what is architecture? As I said earlier, architecture is a process and a products of planning, designing and constructing buildings and other physical structures. Okay, these physical structures, that may be landscaping, maybe outdoor architecture. Okay, maybe this furniture work. Okay, or any other architectural requirement. Now it is the space organization for utility to facilitate function. It is both a science and art. The profession which requires knowledge of technology and humanity. The profession not limited to buildings but also for built-in environment. The environment around the buildings, this is also required. Then the profession which works on large scale, that is township and buildings, and also on small scale, that is furniture, interior construction, details, etc. Now contribution of various agencies in planning of building. Architects, they contribute to nearly 35% of the planning of the building. Quantity surveyor, that is the estimation engineer, he contributes to nearly 23% of the planning stage. Structural engineer, it contributes to about 18%. Then service engineer, he contributes to about 12%. Then management consultants, they contribute to about 4%. Landscape architect, they contribute up to 2%. Then specialist designers, 2%. Environment interior designers and others, they contribute to about 4% of the total planning of the buildings. Now we'll go and see principles of architecture. First one is goodness. It means convenient arrangement of various rooms or groupings. Okay, now I will try to show you a room, okay, and the arrangement of the furniture, so that how can a goodness of the room can be improved, or what is goodness of the room. Now here in this first case, that is first day, okay, furniture is arranged in this, so with some angle with the wall. Okay, so there is only one way for getting into the room from both the entrance. Okay, suppose these two are the entrance of the room, so there is only one way to get into the room only. Okay, now here some angle of the furniture is changed, so there is two way from this entrance, but there is only one way from this entrance. Now the whole arrangement of the furniture is kept parallel to the wall, okay, immediately next to it. So we have a ample of movement from both the entrance. So this is called as goodness. This is also a typical building which has to be designed, which has been designed. Okay, you can see a living room. Okay, you can see a living room. You can see a room attached to the staircase. You can see a block diagram of the room, which may be additional storeroom. Okay, this is one of the bedroom. This is kitchen. Okay, this is one bedroom. This is again second bedroom. Okay, and this is your toilet block. Okay, so this is the typical floor plan of a building. So here goodness is observed. So rooms are arranged in a convenient manner for grouping. Okay, or grouping. It is called as grouping. Now beauty. Beauty means means balances between moral, social and aesthetic and scientific aspects. Now during this COVID situation, you can see this person, he is wearing a mask. Okay, so he has got a beautiful room with two wall hanging behind him. Also there is one wall hanging near the staircase. The stairs are neatly arranged. Okay, and there is one simple sitting arrangement here. So it improves the beauty of the room, and as per the scientific aspects are also obeyed, and aesthetically the building looks very beautiful. Okay, now here in the second part, the architect has designed this building. This is an old structure of a library. Okay, he has given a big staircase in front of the opening so that people can sit and relax. Okay, when they have leisure time from the library. Okay, relax outside and they may have a fresh air. Okay, so here the architect has tried to balance between all moral, social and scientific and aesthetic of aspects. Now truth means it shows harmony with the establishment. Here one old structure. Okay, the arches are so finely designed that the arches are in harmony with in each other. Okay, and when you stand over there, you can have a good view of all the arches till the end. Now this is the famous Lotus Temple. It has got an appearance of a lotus flower. So it has constructed so that it has harmony with the establishment. It imitates a lotus temple. Now architecture of the building, I am trying to show it in hierarchy. So architecture, okay, and its constituents are functions and utility, form and aesthetics. Then function and utility. Okay, the main contents of functions or utility are requirement of the client, then requirement of the site, then building rules and bylaws, then number of users, then principles of building planning like aspect, prospect, roominess, circulation, privacy, etc. Then sketch plan and layout plan, then approval from sanctioning authority, and lighting and ventilation. These are all contents of function or utility. Now requirement of client. Now this is the basic of the architecture of the building. So building must be planned as per the requirement of the client. Okay, and the architect must try to satisfy the client requirement. Here in this image I am trying to show you that this is the lady architect who is listening to both of her client. Okay, these two are her clients. Okay, they must be designing their home, so they are advising the architect to that they are telling their requirements. So I am having I require so much of rooms, so much of people will stay in my house. Okay, so much of people will come to visit me. Okay, I want such garden in my out outyards. Okay, I want landscaping. I want all toilets attached. I want one bedroom in upstairs. So they may be telling all their requirement, and this lady architect, she is planning as per their requirement. Now this is a famous words of an architect, that I don't build in order to have clients. I have clients in order to build. That means the architect is fulfilling the requirements of the client. Okay, and not he is not building as per his own requirement to have the clients. Okay, so this is the famous statement made by an architect. Now requirements of the site. Now the design or planning should be in proportion of the requirement of the site. Okay, you must design a hospital as per like a hospital requirement and not as per the hotel requirements. Okay, so the planning should be as per the requirement of the site. If you want a school building, it should be designed like a school building. If you are designing a hotel, it should be like a hotel building. Okay, so here I am trying to show you that this is a huge structure. Okay, ample of area is there in the for the plot. So architect has used his liberties. Okay, he has constructed this wing. Okay, this wing has some angle with this wing, and there is one some entrance lobby here. Here also, since there is lot of space, so architect has used his free hand. So here also there is some angle with this part of the building, and there is also one entrance lobby situated over here. Okay, and there is one central two building parts of the building connecting these two parts. Okay, there is also one entrance separate lobby for this structure. So as the space is ample, architect has used his free hand over here. Now here, this is a professional building, it's a commercial building. Here the client or the customer, he walks directly into the area to which he wants to get the services. Okay, but during his visit he has some other ancillary services departments on his way. So architect has planned as per the requirement, so that everyone should be get satisfied and the customer can go directly to his requirement. Okay, and then he can the other services can give their services or to this customer after finishing his main services. Okay, so this is the requirement of this site. So put your product services in their path. That is the requirement of the site. So the architect has proposed these service counters during his visit to his main service area. Then building rules and bylaws. Okay, the planning is monitored by building rules and bylaws. So each building should be planned as per the rules and laws. Now what is bylaws? Bylaws is the rules and regulations framed by the town planning authorities covering the requirements of the buildings. Okay, ensuring safety of the public through open spaces and dimensions of the rooms and height of the buildings. So requirement of the building, what are the requirement of the buildings? Okay, so for this building should, no doubt the building should be aesthetically good. Okay, but it should be safe also, and it should give a safety to the public who are using it. Suppose if a fire broke out, okay, then escape ways should be provided, okay, for public to quickly evacuate that area, okay, to the open spaces. So these are all rules that are covered in the bylaws. Then dimensions of the rooms, okay, basically length, breadth is the dimension of the room, and height of the building, okay. In some areas height restriction is up to 9 to 10 meters, but in some metropolitan areas there is no restriction for such heights. You can construct building up to 50 floors also, okay. That is 150 meters height also buildings are constructed in metropolitan areas, because due to shortage of open spaces, okay. Now the purpose, these are the purpose for which bylaws are made. If certain rules and regulations are not made, house owners may construct residential building as per his whims and fancies, okay. So here you can see a Habsar township being developed without any planning, okay. The clients have constructed buildings as per their wishes and as per in their own ways. So such type of construction gives a fight between the neighbors, okay. It gives a controversy between the users, okay. So hence it is essential to maintain and implement the bylaws to provide proper ventilation, privacy, security and safety between the neighbors, okay. This is the purpose of building rules and bylaws. Now building bylaws, here you can see a well planned township, okay, here covering the bylaws, and a simple house which had obeyed the building bylaws, okay, so that the sun god is also happy. The number of users, the building should be constructed to satisfy the areas as required for the number of users. The built up spaces should not be overcrowded or shall not be under sparsely used. Justice must be given to satisfy all the users. So the building should be constructed as per the number of users, okay. Suppose there are 5 members in a family, so there should be rooms according to the 5 members. Suppose husband and wife, and they are having 3 children, so each room, one room for each children for a bungalow. I am talking about bungalow. So one room for each children and one bedroom for husband and wife, okay. So 4 or 5 rooms should be sufficient, other than kitchen or dining room, okay. The building spaces should not be overcrowded or shall not be under sparsely used. The building spaces, the built up spaces, the constructed areas should not be overcrowded and should not be sparsely used. Justice must be given to satisfy all the users. Now suppose a school building having a strength of 500 students, okay. Now during the start of the school, that is first lecture of the school, before the first bell rang, children comes in a group of say 5, 10 or individually they come to the school, some 500 students. But if the school is over, all 500 students, they rush at a time outside the school premises, outside the school building. So the building should be designed as per for 500 students only and not for 5 or 20 students, okay. So the spaces should not be overcrowded, so 500 students should be safely be exited from the school building, okay, or shall not be under sparsely used. So the all area should be covered. No area should be left that is unused, and justice must be given to satisfy all the users. Justice must be given to satisfy all the users, okay. Lawfully you have to design the buildings as per the users, okay. Here it is for 122 users, it is for 1039 and so on, etc. Okay. Then now principles of building planning. Let's see principles of building planning. There are nearly 5 principles for building planning. First one is aspects, second one is prospects, third one is roominess, fourth one is circulation, and fifth one is privacy. Now aspects. Placement of different rooms of house in accordance with the activities of householders in different hours of the day. Okay, a room with enough sunlight and air in a particular direction, then the room has the aspect in that direction. So we have to place the rooms of the house according to their activities in different hours of the day. Now suppose this is the bungalow, this is the block of the bungalow which we have to design. Okay, this is east direction, this is north, this is west, and this is southern side of the plot. This is southern side of the plot. Now this is north south side and this is east west south side. Okay, so the housewife is always in kitchen. Okay, the lady in the house is always in kitchen. She spends maximum of her time in kitchen. So kitchen, suppose it should be designed and it should be planned in front of the building, in front of the bungalow. So kitchen must face the main entrance of the bungalow, so that the lady or the housewife will can keep a watch of people going in and outside of the bungalows from while working in kitchen also. Okay, so so this is the way in which rooms are placed. Okay, now maximum side, the sun moves from east to west from southern side. Okay, southern side of the this bungalow. Okay, so this side is much hotter than this side. Okay, so these three directions will get maximum sunlight, and this north direction will get a little of sunlight. So we have to plan according to the direction of the sun. Okay, here is some of the suggestions as per a prospect is concerned. Living room, drawing room, they should be in southern or southeast direction. Bedroom should be in southwest or northwest direction. Okay, this is southwest direction or northwest direction. This is northwest direction. Okay, then dining room should be in south side or southeastern side. Okay, dining room should be in the south side or southeastern side. Okay, this is the southeastern side. So kitchen east or northeast, as I already said. Kitchen should be in the eastern side or northeast side, this side. Okay, then veranda, west or southwest. Veranda is a canopy provided outside a living room. Okay, so veranda should be in the western side or southwest side or southwest side, this side. And study room, it should be in the north side. Okay, study room should be in the north side. So these are aspects. Now let's see prospect. Prospect is a view from outside of the house. Okay, it is the view from outside of the house. The external view must be cheerful and should give a good impression for people who are living in it and who views from outside. Okay, so prospect, it is the view from outside of the house, and the external view must be cheerful. The views from external must be cheerful. It gives a smooth feel to the eyes of the viewer. okay, and should give a good impression of people who are living in it. A good house always tells the observer that good people are living in it. Okay, a good prospect must have all qualities like comfort, security, and modern outlook. Here I am trying to show that this building or this bungalow, okay, and these persons they are observing from outside, so they are all having a good view of the building, okay, and also they must be thinking that people living in this house or the persons living in this house, they are having a good living standards, okay, a better living standards, okay. Now this is the two buildings I am trying to show. These are old buildings, they are having poor prospect, okay. The feeling from outside is not so hygienic and it's not so good. Also it gives that idea that it doesn't give a good impression of people who are living in it, okay, to the external persons who are observing it. So this building is with good prospect and these buildings are with poor prospects. Then roominess. Roominess means it is the optimization, means getting maximum benefit from minimum facilities of the room dimensions. It is optimization of the room dimension. Roominess depends upon dimension, okay, that is length, width and height of the room, okay. How much room space is there, how much easy movement of the person is there in the room, that is roominess. A rectangle room has more roominess than a square room in the same area, because in a rectangular room we can arrange the internal furnitures, internal this all appliances, or whether they are furniture, whether it is a sitting arrangement, okay, whether it is a dining area, so we can arrange it in a good way than in a square room of the same area. Here we can see that beds are arranged to have a nice roominess, okay. Also this dining room has having enough roominess, means there is a lot of space for the movement of the persons, okay. Here also we have a lot of spaces for the movement of the persons. So roominess means it gives a maximum utilization of the room in the minimum area. Now circulation, as the word suggests, it is the movement within the premises, okay, it is the movement within the premises, that is both horizontal and vertical circulation. Then passages, corridors, lobbies, then are for horizontal circulation, while staircase, lifts, escalators, they contribute to vertical circulations, okay. This is passage from this stair to room, okay. This corridor, generally we observe corridors in hotels, okay. In school also we observe, school and colleges we also observe corridors. Corridors means a space to move from one room to another externally, okay. Then lobby is the space area for which the visitors can wait for their work to be over, okay. These are called as lobbies. We can observe lobbies in hotels, cinema halls, airports, okay. Then these are all for vertical transportation or vertical circulation. This is staircase, simple, as you are all familiar. This is lift, it is also called as elevators. These are escalators. Escalators are moving mechanical staircases, okay. We observe it in malls nowadays, on airport, railway stations, etc. These are escalators. Now privacy, it is the important for building planning. Their privacy are of two types, okay. So internal privacy is important in case of bedrooms, bathrooms, and sanitary services, attached bath, bathrooms, toilet, lavatories, water closets, urinals, etc. So internal privacy is important in these cases, okay? And external privacy, it is important for whole house, especially bedrooms, windows, kitchen windows and washroom and ventilators, okay? Here I am trying to show you internal privacy. They have put a partition cabin from this drawing room so that people couldn't have a view what's going on in this dining room or kitchen, okay, beyond this partition. Here external privacy between two houses, okay. So people from one house, okay, can't easily look into the or peep into the other houses, okay. So they have constructed a partition wall separating the two houses to have their own external privacy. Now sketch plan and layout plan. Now sketch plan is a simplified drawing of a proposed construction. So sketch plan is a rough plan which an architect drafts, okay, satisfying the client requirement. It is the rough plan, or it is the first plan that comes at the instant of the ideas of the architects. So the purpose of this sketch plan steps to provide a means of offering advice and help to the owner developer before extensive site planning and construction work is undertaken. So the architect can have this sketch plan and he can show to the client that I have arranged a garage in this area, I have arranged bathrooms, kitchen in this area, bedrooms in this area, okay. Then the office, a small office in the bungalow, okay, in this area. Then outdoor living in this area, lounge, there is waiting lounge and dining in these areas. So this is a rough plan which a architect plans to show the client to get a temporary approval from client to go ahead and plan it finally. So this is a sketch plan. The layout plan, it is a site layout plan, sometimes called as block plan. It shows a detailed layout of the whole site and the relationship of the proposed work with the boundary of the property, nearby roads and neighboring buildings, okay. This is the layout plan, okay. This shows the layout of the plot and neighboring plot also are shown. Then location of the road, position of the roads are also shown on layout plan, okay. This is the swimming tank, okay, in this building. So that is also, this is landscaping features, these are all shown on layout plan. Then neighboring buildings, okay, these are shown here. Then approval plan, now it is a blueprint of the building, okay. Before the building work is to be started, we have to get a sanction from the authority, and this sanction is given on a blueprint, okay. So the proposed plans are to get approved from the sanctioning authority, namely municipal corporation in urban areas, local municipal bodies in taluka places and local panchayat in rural areas, okay. So in municipal areas, okay, in urban areas we have municipal corporation, in taluka places we have local municipal bodies, okay, and in the rural areas we have local panchayat that gives approval with the, and this approval is forwarded to the regional town planning department. They give the final approval to the owner or to the architects, okay. So this is the blueprint of the building. Then lighting and ventilation, okay. Every habitable room shall be furnished with sufficient number of openings, okay, such as windows and ventilators, okay. Every habitable room, habitable means room in which we live, okay. These are habitable rooms, okay. in which sufficient number of openings such as windows and ventilators affording effectual means of admission of light and air by direct communication with the external air, or shall be sufficiently lighted and ventilated by artificial means. Okay, this is the bungalow which have a natural ventilation and lighting. Okay, naturally air enters into the house. Okay, and it escapes again in atmosphere. Okay, so also sunlight also enters into the building through these windows and through these arrangements. Okay, and the building is well ventilated. Okay, here the room is ventilated by artificial means this is roof air conditioner. Okay, and artificial lightings are used for lighting of the building. Okay, so every habitable room shall be furnished with sufficient number of sufficient number of openings such as windows and ventilators should be given. Okay, or otherwise you can ventilate or light artificially. Now form, architectural form is the point of contact between mass and space. Okay, so form of the building is a point of contact between mass and space. Okay, means area and weight of the building should be matched. Architectural forms, textures, materials, modulation of light and shade, color, all combine to give a quality or spirit that highlight the space. The quality of the architecture will be determined by using and relating these elements both in the interior spaces and in the spaces outside the buildings. Okay, so textures and materials and modulation of light and shades and color should be matched to give a quality or spirit that highlight the space. Okay, and that gives the quality of architecture. Okay, so these elements are matched. Here the view, the texture, okay, the material, the modulation, okay, the light and shades are perfectly matched. Design is also perfectly matched. So this building, it gives a appearance of regular form. Okay, but this building, no texture, no material, no modulation, okay, and nothing shade or nothing light also is matched. Okay, and it gives an irregular feeling. So this building, you can say it is in irregular form. No, not shape is fixed, none of the shape is fixed. Okay, and none of the spaces are well utilized. Now let's see the various types of forms or various elements of forms are. First one is structure, second one is climate, third one is materials, fourth one is methods and techniques of construction, fifth one is economy, sixth one skill labors, and seventh one earthquake design. Now let us see these elements one by or components of forms one by one. Now structure. What is structure? It is a combination of different elements to form a unique or similar units. So it is a combination of different parts, okay, or different units, okay, to give a one single unit or one single structure. Here, as per architecture, structure is the building or housing unit for dwelling or for industrial purpose. So as far as architecture is concerned, okay, building is for housing, that is residential, okay, for industrial, that is commercial purpose. Okay, and so various elements in buildings are beams, columns, walls, slabs, doors, windows, flooring, plumbing and sanitation, furniture, etc. These are all components, they contribute to the structure of the building. Okay, here I have shown you two typical buildings. Okay, this is a frame structure showing all the components. These are the columns, beams, slabs are there. Okay, This is the load bearing structure. Okay, it shows the walls outside the brick faced walls. Okay, external walls. Now climate. Climate has an impact on the design of the buildings, and it's control a major factor governing architecture. The climate has maximum impact on the design of the building. Okay, the shape of the buildings has been greatly influenced by the requirement of the climate. So we have to plan the building. The shape of the building is greatly influenced by the requirement of the climate. Okay, because climate imposes limitation. So designing of the building must be in harmony with the climate. So here we can see a well designed building with respect to climate. Okay, there are solar panels over here there. Okay, these are the illuminated light glass panels to have a pre-entry of sun rays inside it. Okay, and you can't see a single air conditioner outside it. So elevation is properly treated as per the design. Here we can see the various vents of our air conditioning equipments. They are very densely arranged. Okay, in this building. So we can see that this building is badly designed with respect to climate, and we can say this building is well designed with respect to climate. Okay, because though there are air conditioner units, we can't see it in elevations. Okay, and they have arranged a glass panels for the pre-entry of suns, hence saving energy. Now materials. Building materials form the integral part of the field of the architecture. Without building material, architecture cannot be completed. The building materials form an integral part of the field of the architecture. The type and the form of structure is determined by the type of the material used. Okay, the type and form of the structure is determined by the types of the material used. Okay, whether you are using steel, whether you are using cement, whether you are using concrete, glass, tiles, wood, plastic items, aluminum items, sand, bricks. There are n numbers of items in building industry. So the type and form of the structure is determined by the type of the material used. The material gives endurance and visual aspect of the design. Okay, good material gives very good endurance. Okay, and they are feeling, they give a good visual aspect of the design. These are some images of the building materials which we are commonly using. Okay, here we have bricks, we have cement, we have concrete, we have sand, we have reinforcement, glass, tiles, wood, plastic. All these contribute to building materials. Then methods and techniques of construction. The methods are influenced by the total technological development of the society. The architecture depends on an organized labor force and upon the existence of tools and skills necessary to secure manufacture, transport and work durable materials. Okay, so methods and techniques of construction. The methods are influenced by the total technological development of the society. So the methods of architecture shows the technological development of the society, and the architecture depends upon the organized labor force and upon the existence of tools and skills. Tools and skills and a organized labor force are also necessary for a good architecture. So we have a secure manufacture, transport and work durable material. So we can secure, we have a good manufacturing unit. Okay, we can transport the unit, transport the materials, transport the material at the workplaces, and work durable materials. Okay, we'll have a work durable materials due to good methods and techniques of construction. Here, these are one of the local methods of construction. Okay, local techniques are being employed. Okay, this is the beam, these are the columns which are going to be casted. Okay, this is a mason constructing a brick wall. Okay, so these are the methods and techniques of the construction. Economy, of course economy should be observed. Architecture acts as the mediator between different specialties building constructions. Architecture contributes greatly in the economic growth of the nation. Building industry is an investment-led sector for prosperity of any nation. Architecturally planned buildings are necessary. So, architecture acts as a mediator between different specialties of buildings construction. Okay, they are mediator between the clients, they are mediator between contractors, they are mediator between project management consultants. Okay, they are mediator between planning authorities. So they are mediator between design and planning. So we have a good building architecture. Architecture contributes greatly. So as per this, the architecture contributes greatly to the economic growth of the nation. Now here we can see, okay, agriculture contributes nearly 14% of the GDP and construction contributes to about 7.786% of the GDP, that is gross domestic product. Okay, next to construction, okay, there is trade, hotels and hospitality buildings. So construction is the fifth major contributor to the GDP, that is gross domestic product of our country. So there, of course, architecture contributes greatly in the economic growth of the nation. So building industry is an investment-led sector. Lot of investment is needed in building industry, and so it brings prosperity to any nation. So architecture planned buildings are necessary for good economy. Then skilled labor force is also required for construction practices. Then particular buildings needs skilled labor that include bricklaying, carpentry, pouring cement, putting up drywall and installing specific types of equipments. So skilled laborers are required for this. The laborers must have experience in performing the relevant job. They should have a lot of experience in their job. So we get a high perfection in the job. The skills with which they work will give a hazard-free and maintenance-free building. Okay, as the building laborers are skilled, okay, then they will give a hazard-free. That means there are no accidents during the construction. Okay, and they give a maintenance-free building. So these two factors are very important in architecture. Then earthquake design. The building must be earthquake resistant. Architecture design includes study of seismic, earthquake affected, apply seismic designs, objectives, design appropriate to suit the conditions. Okay, the building should be resistant to earthquake. Okay, and the architect should take into mind the study of seismic or earthquake affected areas. Okay, and then apply seismic design objectives and a design appropriate to suit the condition. That should be designed to the standards of to resist the earthquake. Okay, so this also comes under architecture. Thank you for watching my first lecture. Okay, we'll continue with the next topic in our next presentation. Thank you very much.